Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Sarah Williams-Gardner, and I am currently in the leading seat at FinTech Wales, but I have an able team around me of panel, advisors, board members, and a fabulous team here at FinTech Wales. So it's my job just to welcome you tonight. We will be doing some tweeting and social media, so anybody who's... Oh, which button do I press? Right. I am dyslexic. So before we start, what I would like to do is also thank the people that have helped us to get here. There are some special thanks, first to the guys here at Tramshed. The facility is fantastic. They pull out all the stops for us all the time, and I think you're all going to enjoy some hospitality, which they've helped us to pull together. We've also had great support from British Business Bank, Global Welsh, Angels Invest Wales, and Dev Bank, who've helped us with the attendee list here tonight. So thank you. We're a collaborative organisation. We cannot do this on our own, and we really, really appreciate all of that support and help. So tonight we will hear from the cohort of 8 from our first accelerator. I won't steal the thunder of Johnny, who's put the accelerator together. He'll tell you a bit more about that. But it's my job and my absolute pleasure to introduce my fellow panel questionists. And what I'm really proud of is there is 0 travel miles here. This is Welsh talent from Wales that hasn't had to travel down from London. So first of all, Damon, can I ask you to come up and join us? For those of you who don't know Damon Chappell, he is the co-founder of Sonovate. Sonovate is a... That's my seat. Sonovate has helped to streamline the finances, especially in the recruitment industry. And Damon, I'm sure, will be very happy to tell you about that later, but was critical through the COVID pandemic in helping to administer all of that urgent money that was needed to the industry through the B bills and C bills and the government schemes there. So really helped keep that industry alive, and is also just tipping to being a unicorn here in Wales. So a highly successful business. So congratulations. So we're very, very pleased and very proud to have Damon come and join us, and he's also a very valued member of FinTech Wales. I'd like to invite my next co-questioner up to the desk. Again, a local colleague who has just travelled from Cowbridge, but represents a London-based VC firm, highly experienced, has sat on many boards for many financial tech companies. He's quite an expert in software as a service. He's good at asking the questions. I've seen him go through the questions for the group tonight. So yeah, he's going to ask some good questions. So Guy, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here, and welcome. So thank you very much for that. I'm going to hand over to Johnny, but just before I do that, I just want to do a quick sort of plug for FinTech Wales. FinTech Wales is a not-for-profit organisation. We are guided and managed by our members for our members, and we are on an absolute mission to ensure that Wales is recognised as a globally recognised FinTech hub of excellence. We absolutely believe we can do that. We can do that with the partners in this room, we can do it with the businesses that we're working with, and we can do it with these energetic new companies that we're finding and bringing to Wales. One of the things that we really believe is important in actually doing that is making sure that we have an ecosystem and a community that supports each other, and hence we formed the Foundry. And so I'm going to pass over to Johnny, because Johnny has put together the Foundry for us and the Foundry programme.
Hello everybody, and thanks for joining us, some of us on short notice, for the first private Foundry pitch night. So As Sarah has alluded to, some of you may be wondering what is the Foundry and how does it work. So my name is Johnny Mayo, and I've been off in Southeast Asia for the past 14 years. I'd always been working in tech or finance. My claim to fame was that I co-founded Asia's first blockchain development company. And with the experience from that, I started working with accelerator programs both in America and in Asia. I was part of the 500 Startups Accelerator Program as a founder, and off in Asia, I operated the Supercharger FinTech Accelerator Program. And it was this experience that I brought back to Wales about a year and a half ago, and I noticed that there was not only the need for a later stage financial technology accelerator program here in Wales, but there was also something special, and there was something that I didn't quite see when I was out in Asia and Hong Kong and other places, and I only saw pockets of when I was in Silicon Valley. And that was spirit, and it was the active spirit of collaboration that here we have in Wales, and it is almost unrivaled, unparalleled elsewhere. As such, there's a few special thank yous that I would like to say, because this really is a collaborative ecosystem approach. So Walter, Richard at Global Welsh, Bethan from British Business Bank, Carol from Angels Invest Wales, Simon from DevBank Wales. Again, it's your help and your support that has helped make this what it is. So, what is the Foundry? Well, it's a corporate, not-for-profit, equity-free, corporate-led and deal-focused accelerator program. And those conditions, I feel, make it pretty important as to creating the right conditions for win-wins for both the companies that we work with and the partners that we represent, being Admiral, Principality, and Cardiff Capital Region. We leverage the collective experience of our ecosystem. As said, we already have the exits, we have the entrepreneurs, we have some success stories here in Wales, and it's our goal to collectively leverage that expertise as a force for good in the Foundry. And it's also just getting started. This is the first iteration of our first program, and we see many ways in which we can scale, improve, and grow the ecosystem as a whole here in Wales. So in numbers, we had over 151 applicants for our first Foundry program from 28 different countries. The 3 founding partners are the ones who selected the companies in our first program. So those are Admiral, Principality, and Cardiff Capital Region. And we are supported by 35 organizations, 100 mentors, all leading to the 8 ventures that you see here today. So we will begin and start with the first company that was selected for the FinTech Wales Foundry. I'd like to introduce Andy from Viaduct Group, who are the first provider of connected car insurance, and from the team that exited Insure the Box. So ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for Andrew from Viaduct.
Which way is the clicker? That way. Yeah. Hi, good evening. My name is Andy Haynes. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Viaduct. It's a connected car insurance business. Right, this is where the tech works. Wow. I thought I'd ask you all a difficult question. I expect many of you are drivers, many of you have got car insurance. It's not necessarily a great experience. I'm conscious in Cardiff, probably Admiral would say it is, and they are better than everybody else, to be fair, but overall, it's a pretty poor experience. And let's face it, it's a grudge purchase. No, nobody's got a grudge then. The key for me is what we're going to talk about tonight is what good looks like, and that's what we're going to deliver. So we're seeking £5 million equity investment in order to launch a game-changing connected car proposition. And we can do that in 9 months. So this is the team. We've got a proven track record. With our previous business, as Johnny mentioned, Insure the Box, we pioneered the use of telematics in car insurance, and we changed the market. Many of the developments we made have been applied by companies in the UK, but globally. So, a genuine pioneer. The key for us is we did things that nobody's done before, and as a result, we sold the business for £105 million. So this is our elevator pitch. You can all read, so I'm not going to read it for you. I'm not going to pick anything out, because you're going to hear about it. So Our proposition is enabled by a device, which is shown here. This device fits on the inside of your windscreen. It is self-fit and it is solar powered. These are the features it has. It has Amazon Alexa functionality, ADAS features, so think of it as a retrofit ADAS feature, and it has military-grade GPS, which I'm going to sound boring and techy now, but what that means is we have sub-second data points, which enables a lot of the accuracy of the services we provide. So based on this technology and the continuous feedback we provide to the customer, encouraging them to drive well, alongside the intervention techniques that we've mastered in managing a claim, we can deliver a game-changing 30% reduction in claims cost. Now, many insurers in the UK are struggling around the high 80s. So you think about that, 30% reduction on that number makes a heck of a difference. So a route to market is through the price comparison sites. It's a well-established model for us. We are going to have 3 limited mileage products at launch, and they are geared to get us to the top of the screen in our chosen market. We have designed and built a transformative VAT solution based on the separate supply of services between insurance and technology. This is another groundbreaking moment for our business. I'm not quite sure what happened there because this isn't our slide. This is where you learn to think on your feet. So I'm going to take the unique selling points of our business and I'll try and join them up and explain them in the best possible way. So the first 2, multi-layer revenue model and dynamic customer portfolio management. So this is all enabled by, 1, the ability that we have for continuous driving data. Number 2 is the ability to provide alerts and messages to the customer on a dynamic basis as they're driving. So this is all to help the customer drive safely. And then I want to get to the third one, because for me, this is critical when you're managing an insurance business. So imagine a scenario where you have a car accident. When that happens, you don't know what the heck's going on, do you? You have to contact the insurer. So from our side, the way it works is you have a car accident, we detect it using the technology. This is where the sub-second data points come in. Based on this, we will give you a call from our service centre because we've had an alert saying you have an accident. When that happens, we will phone you to try and provide assistance. If we can't get hold of you, we call the emergency services. So please just think about that, as that's a way of making a real difference to your life because you stay alive. So these are our financials. The key point here is we've got strong revenue growth and we have got the experience of managing that growth. We've done it before. Sorry, I should go back. What it represents as year 5 is we would have 1% of the total UK car park. It would take, we're aiming at an exit value of £200 million. So this slide here, I'm going to skip because I've been given the dreaded sign of cut your throat. So all I want to say is if you look at the way you compare what we've done to what the rest of the world is, it answers that question at the outset because we've got all of the capabilities. So if I use this slide here very quickly, we go all the ticks. The rest of the industry is still stuck in analog, we're at digital. And the reason for this slide is because Simon, my co-founder, he was also a co-founder at Utilita, so he's got form. So from my side, just want to leave you with one sort of corrupted advertising slogan, which is, one day, all car insurance will be sold this way. You've got to be old to remember that one, but I couldn't have just a joke at the end. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
thank you very much indeed. And let's kick off with the questions on this. This is a consumer play here that you've got, Andy. You talk about going to market through the comparison sites.
Yep.
I understand that. You talk about giving the consumer a completely different experience. How are you going to deliver on that, and how are you going to sort of appeal to that consumer market? It's a big sort of reliance on feedback and customers' sort of comments.
Yep, so the key thing is the price comparison sites. That's your distribution channel. You have to understand how to get to the top of the screens. That's the first thing. And then the second thing for us, in terms of building that customer relationship, we're in constant contact with the customer. So if you imagine, if you're a driver and you complete a trip, we are going to provide feedback to you in the form of a push message as to how you've driven. If you've driven well, we will point that out, and if you've driven badly, it's like speeding, we'll point that out. The whole thing is about engagement with the customer and encouraging the customer to drive well. And then we've designed a whole series of programs that focus on that stuff and really about rewarding customers. Drive well, get rewarded.
Okay, thank you.
How self-selecting is the audience? Because if I'm a driver today, and I'm a safe and careful driver, I don't mind having something on the dashboard that proves that I'm a safe and careful driver. If I'm not, I don't want that thing on the dashboard.
And therefore you, from a risk point of view, you don't want them either. So the big thing is, when we did the last business, Insure the Box, it was aimed at young and inexperienced drivers. They were literally becoming disenfranchised. So it was to create a proposition to encourage them to drive well. This is similar. We've got other markets we target, but you have to give the customer an incentive, and that comes in the form of reward. I mean, you've got to have a cheaper premium in the first place, but then it comes in the form of rewards.
Then help me understand how you get to the top of the screen, because every other insurer wants exactly the driver that you're looking for.
So the insurance industry is a wonderful industry because it helps you. So when you've got a device like ours, we can measure mileage. One of the early questions on a price comparison site is how far will you drive in a year? And most of us, you can take a choice here. Either you haven't got a clue or you lie, because you know the lower the mileage, the cheaper the premium. So insurers understand that, so what they will do, if it's say a 6,000 mile policy, they're priced for 8. Because we can measure the mileage with the device, that gives us a pricing advantage, because we can genuinely price for 6. And if a customer uses more miles, we can top up. They can buy top up. So that's another important capability of understanding how you can help a customer top up, a bit like a mobile phone. Thank you.
Okay, so up next is an all-inclusive subscription service for electric vehicles and mobility solution for just one price per month. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Julian from Voltric.
Hello there. Good evening. So hello there. My name is Julian Mensah, and I'm from Voltric. Now, I'm pretty certain some of you here would have either seen an EV coming in today, driven one, or potentially seen one this week. And if you haven't, there's 2 parked out there, so look out as you leave. What we're seeing is a huge growth in the automotive sector with electric vehicles. Demand is driving. And currently, we're also supported by government, we're seeing a huge uptake in the electric vehicle sector. What you may not be aware of, however, is the subscription is key to onboarding, or rather, the uptake of electric vehicle. The reason being here is quite simple. You've got to think it's pretty complex to get into an EV. For example, you've got to think of the high cost that comes with that. And of course, as Andy has pointed out several times, managing the insurance that comes with getting the vehicle. And then on top of that, you have to think, am I stuck with this vehicle for the next 4 years? Bearing in mind, there are new models coming out every year with new mileage. And then the final bit is, once you've actually got it, how many RFID cards do you have? Or even how many apps are you having to deal with? It's still fragmented, it's still complex, it's all overshot. What we are doing at Voltric is building a beautiful solution that simplifies this for users. They pay 1 monthly fee on a subscription for an electric vehicle of their choice. And it's not just the car we're talking about. It's insurance, it's tax, it's MOT, it's charging. It's everything you need to make the journey pleasurable. And more importantly as well, what will underpin all of this is the product that we're building. That will allow us to not only add value, build more solutions, but more importantly, generate further revenue stream. It's fairly simple for a user to onboard. They pick the vehicle of their choice, they choose the term, and we do the rest to get the vehicle delivered. To add to that as well, through our platform and our solutions, they will be able to get ongoing support with their vehicle, whether it's for 1 month, 12 months, or 24 months. Now, we've launched a pilot already. We've had a great experience, and we have manufacturers that love us. We have our customers through our pilot that love us, and we have big plans to support how we go on to the next stage, and this is part of why we're here. The market, as I pointed out, has got great traction, and these are some of the stats that represent that. We are a small team, but we have a wide range of experiences, ranging from the automotive background to raising private equity. And we are supported by amazing advisors. To start off with, we are raising a pre-seed round of 210, of which we have 95 SCIS left. The bulk of this is going towards our platform development to allow us to add more value and add more solutions to our customers as they drive their vehicles. Finally, support a rollout in key areas that have cleaner policies. These policies that are driving the demand within electric vehicles. I will leave you with this. We talk about the future of EV coming. I want to say they're already here now. Thank you very much. I'd like to invite my partner, Brent, on stage to answer any questions.
I guess I'm keen to figure out how you're going to find the customer who wants to own a Tesla and who wants to subscribe to own the Tesla versus all the funky financing options that Tesla are going to offer you, or that Renault are going to offer you on a Zoe, or that anything else. Why is someone going to come to you guys first versus the manufacturer?
Yeah, 100%. So with the manufacturers, especially Tesla, obviously you're going for a purchase model, as Julian said. You're normally looking at anywhere between 3 to 5 years on a lease. And with the technology growing, as Julian said before, you can look back at the older Teslas, and with the sensors for the self-drive, yes, it's over-the-air updates, so you can stay up to date with the tech, but actually the sensors aren't able to cope with that. So actually having to get a new Tesla. And for them, unless you're plenty of money, which is fine, you're probably not coming for a subscription, you're right, you want to be able to get a new car every year. So whether that is a Tesla, or you might start with a Renault Zoe and then move up, you won't be able to do that with a manufacturer, or actually have the range of choice of those vehicles either. So that's why you come for a subscription.
But you can buy, Volvo will give you a subscription today on their hybrids. Yeah. So again, if I'm walking into the showroom and I can touch and feel the Volvo and get the wraparound experience, why would I go to the website and get the subscription from you guys?
100%, and we do offer as well, actually going to the vehicles, test driving the vehicles as well, for that kind of touching experience, but also from there is actually, we offer more than just that subscription for the term. It's the insurance, it's the breakdown, it's to cover everything included, as well as the charging. You may, with some of the companies and some of the subscription companies out there already, you may just get, like Julian said, an RFID card or a discount somewhere. We're actually covering that whole process. It's actually making it easy for you.
I have one last one, if I may.
It's fine.
Residuals. So you've given all these lovely subscriptions for 12 months. You get a whole load of fleet back after 12 months. How do you handle that?
So already, as part of the commercial relationships that we're having, we've actually got buyback in place with some of the manufacturers. And that means that at the end of 6 months, 12 months, or 24 months, we can sell the vehicle back. So what you have to think is, from our perspective, all we're doing is collecting the payment initially for the monthly terms from the customer and passing it on to the financer or the manufacturer, whoever we're working with. And at the end of the term, we sell the vehicle as part of that relationship, and then all we do is cover the balance. Once again, whether it's the finance company or, in what was yesterday's case, just hand over the vehicle. So it really depends, but what we've done is to try and de-risk the model for us and try and allow us to stay within the tech element as well. And just to add to one final point with the Volvo one, you only get a Volvo if you went to Volvo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julian and Brent. Up next, Yimba provide personalised banking services to both banks and their customers. So, ladies and gentlemen, quick round of applause for Jonathan from Yimba.
Is it working? Hi, I'm Jonathan, the Chief Product Officer and co-founder of Yimba. There are 32,000 banks in the world servicing 3 billion people. And banks are having the same problem, trying to get their customers to engage with the digital banking products and to realize some benefit from the massive investment they've made in digital wallets, the Apple Pays of this world and the Samsung Pays and Google Pays. So Yimba's multimedia and marketing platform solves this problem for banks. We start with personalization. So sorry, I shouldn't have jumped. So boring digital wallet, interesting digital wallet. So we start with personalization of cards in the digital wallet. We know that personalization is really powerful. There's many use cases out there about why personalization works for people, gets them engaged with the brand. The engagement means people spend more time on their products. They also spend quite a lot more money, and for banks that means more transactions, which is the thing that they're most interested in. It's not just about engagement though. So when you understand a bit more about that user, you can build really great campaigns. So banks have always had the transactions that people use, that people make on their card. Now they can have a real understanding of who that person is, what their motivations are, and the things they are interested in by the images they select, which allows us to build really good, focused, targeted campaigns. Sorry. The other side of this as well is there's the phone is an underused or not used real estate billboard that nobody's using at the moment. So brands can put their images on people's cards and use that device as a mini billboard. You think about the eyeball time that will give to brands, whether they be sports teams, retail, or anything else. It's supported by a really basic revenue model. So we have recurring revenue because we charge a license fee, and then we charge API fees, and we sell content to users, which we get a cut from. And how it works, so our software has been built so that the bank, with only 5 lines of code, they can install Yimba into their banking app, which brings the full Yimba platform and all its capabilities. And when the user will come to their banking app, be able to choose the card art. That's where they'll see the campaigns, and when they select it, it shows in the digital wallet. But it'll be no good if we went to the banks and gave them a massive problem, saying, here we go, we've got this great system, but it's going to take you weeks and weeks to install. So I already mentioned it's 5 lines of code. The idea was that it's a turnkey, just put it in and you get everything. That includes the user experience, content management system, analytics, and campaign management tools. In this round, we're looking to raise £1 million. We have a term sheet for the first half of that, and we're looking to partner with some investors who can help us with strategic relationships to help us with the business development. And we are supported by a really fantastic team. So there's 3 co-founders of us. There's Robert, Lee, and myself. Lee is banking loyalty, so he's just left a loyalty company called Bink. Robert has got his background in banking his whole career. Mine is more digital consumer. We've got a really first-class CTO, and then our board advisors are like a who's who in banking. So Stephen Cootie, who's the CFO of Rails Bank, Andrew Popel, who was CEO of Abbey National, and he runs a company now doing buying portfolios for other banks. And I look forward to all your questions.
Jonathan, thank you for that. I think the personalisation in the banking space is a really interesting one. I'm intrigued to know, obviously, if you're looking to personalise, where the competition or where you see the competition coming from, and if you look at the ecosystem, if you see that coming from any of the incumbent banks or any of the neobanks or any of the actual phone providers.
Yeah, I mean, I think our most likely competitors are the banks themselves, doing it for themselves. That means they've only done it for themselves, and ours is built to be transferable globally. So yes, they can do it themselves, but there's a big investment. There's a lot of software. There's a lot of business around it, sourcing the content and everything else. So if they don't have the focus, I don't think they will succeed as easily as we will.
What about things like Apple and Apple Pay that can really capture the data before you guys will be able to? Do you see those going into this space?
Yeah, I mean, so it's a kind of a weird one because the pays don't own the card and they don't really have any control over the card. And yes, they could start selling it to the banks. And we are in deep conversations with Samsung Pay to provide our service to them, but they can't just switch it on for anybody. The bank has to agree to have it. If that answers your question, I think.
So it possibly does, but so is this a sell to the banks?
Yes.
And the banks then encourage their consumers to download and use this, or do they give them choice? Is this a generational type of requirement, or is it something you think that all consumers will want to engage with?
I mean, we are planning that it's going to be a younger person more interested in that. They're already communicating with images today. Our service will be inside the bank's banking app, where they have other things today. They already have loyalty propositions and everything else. Yimba will appear there when they go to their card in the banking app.
So if I'm a user of the bank, I have the choice to turn it on or turn it off?
We have a choice just to ignore it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So our next company create installment payment plans for all travellers without the need for a third-party credit check. Let's just see if I haven't. Just a moment. Yes, everyone, welcome Mike from Laytrip.
Up, down?
Right.
Okay. Hi everybody, my name's Mike Powell. I'm the chairman and co-founder of Laytrip. Part of a team of people that want to make travel affordable for everybody. Part of that, of course, is making travel cheap, but also enabling people to pay in installments. So the problem we're trying to address here, I can't do this without turning my back on somebody, sorry. The problem we're trying to address here is that credit requirements generally are tightening. It's difficult to get hold of credit in many markets, specifically in the travel space. Consumers that don't have access to credit can't access low prices, which are generally available very well in advance of travel. As I guess all of us know, we need to book early to get the cheap prices. If you don't have credit or you don't have the income to support that purchase, then you can't access the low prices. And to the extent that there are installment payment options out there at the moment, which there are, they're cumbersome. You have to go to multiple websites to book your travel itinerary. The solution is Laytrip, we think, where you can book and pay in installments with no credit check or any additional disclosures. It's a one-stop shop. You can do everything on our platform, and you can plan and book and pay now by layaway. Right, I got to remember right, not down. So a quick overview of the market, BNPL, buy now, pay later. We view layaway and therefore Laytrip as a category of buy now, pay later. It's a huge market. These are obviously figures for 2019. But the travel market is an even larger market, $750 billion in online travel purchases. And BNPL has barely scratched the surface so far. And but if you look at the metrics of the market, just looking at the US, which is where we've launched, 70% of 24 to 39-year-olds do not have a credit card. Many merchants are already applying BNPL, and 50% of travelers would prefer to pay in installments if they could find that available. This is where Laytrip sits between traditional online travel agencies and payment providers, some of whom have teamed up to offer installment payment plans. So, for example, Expedia in Europe is tied up with Klarna, which means that if you want to pay in installments on Expedia, you have to go off to the Klarna website, have a credit check done, provide all sorts of onerous information. And on Laytrip, you don't have to do that, and we're unique in that sense. anybody comes to Laytrip, wants to buy a travel product, they can pay in installments, regardless of their credit history or whatever. We don't even check their credit. So our differentiators are that we have customizable payment plans, so you can pay a different size deposit, you can pay weekly, you can pay bi-weekly, you can pay monthly, but you do have to pay everything before you travel. We're a one-stop shop, as I mentioned. You can do everything at laytrip.com. You don't have to go off to a third-party website. There are no credit checks, no interest, and no late payment fees. And eventually we see this as being worldwide, something that we can offer in every market, though thus far we've launched in the US. Default risk. Well, you know, this is kind of, I suppose, the secret sauce in some sense. Of course, this is a lending business, and default risk is important. So we manage that default risk in two ways. Firstly, by having sensible commercial terms. We do have minimum deposits depending on when you're booking, how far in advance you're booking. You have to pay all of your installments before you travel, as I mentioned. And we bundle the products. So some travel products that we have to buy for that consumer are refundable, others are non-refundable. Mostly flights are non-refundable. 95% of flights are non-refundable. So the second way in which we manage the risk is by applying data science, by reliably predicting the price of the non-refundable element of travel, which essentially is the airfares. And this is a very typical pricing curve. I mean, we all kind of know this for flights, that if you book well in advance, you can get pretty cheap prices, but actually prices tend to dip and then rise as you get very close to the day of departure. We know this because a lot of us have got low-cost airline industry backgrounds, revenue management systems and technology, so forth. So we only buy the element that is non-refundable when the price is about to start rising, and we can predict with a high degree of accuracy on the vast majority of the market when that price will start rising. We don't sell installment payment packages on products that we don't understand, where we can't predict the price. Well, what I should say, though, of course, is what we do then is we're able to collect the majority of payments on an installment payment plan before we've even laid out any capital. So we'll take deposit, installment, 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 and depending on when we think the price is going to start rising, we then buy the product for the customer. So we're turning the lending model on its head. We're collecting before we're laying any capital out. And data science lies at the heart of everything we do. The products we sell, the way we price them, the way we market them, and our risk management. A few KPIs on the business. These are the bookings that we are anticipating taking in 2022. We've only just come off beta and gone live very recently. We've done a handful of bookings only so far. We haven't put any marketing behind it yet. That's why we're here and looking for funding. But we see the business growing very rapidly over the next 5 years to these kind of numbers. Average value for booking, as you can see, and the gross revenues for us as a business. Funding, we're doing a seed round at the moment, looking to raise $5 million. And the funding vehicle is a UK company called Laytrip Holdings Limited. We're raising the money via an advanced subscription agreement, which is essentially the UK equivalent of a SAFE. EIS and SEIS are not available. By definition, you can't do that with an ASA. As I say, we're targeting $5 million. We've got commitments of $1.3 million so far. This is what it looks like on your mobile phone. It's just classic, looks like an online travel agency, though of course we're a fintech. You search, you book, and you lay away, you pay in installments. And this is how it looks on the desktop. That's me done. Questions, please.
Mike, thank you very much. And for someone who was a little bit unsure about buy now, pay later, what I like in what you're saying is this gives everybody, it's a very inclusive product to allow people to buy prices at the more cost-effective price. All of that is great. You said about Experian partnering with Klarna to offer some Expedia to offer something similar. Mm-hmm. how are you actually going to get the customers to come to you when there's so many different offers out there? You know, you're saying you're raising money to do marketing. There's a hell of a lot that you've got to do to get the consumer to come to you, to know you, to trust you, and actually to want to buy with you. But so how are you going to do that?
Yeah, great question. We're not going to try to compete with Expedia's marketing budget. We're not going to do things in a entirely conventional way, digital marketing and so forth. We think the right way to go, a number of routes, we will spend some money on that, but very little, is to go down the influencer route. We have a program that we have already designed called Tripfluencers, whereby we will get the trust, because the trust is the thing, from travel bloggers, trusted personalities, and the experiments that we've done so far, a couple, have gone very well, and we've got a far better traction and cost per customer acquisition from that than trying to spend money on marketing. But by no means are we going to try and compete with the marketing budgets of the Expedias and the Kayaks and the Apodos of the world. We have to be innovative on the marketing front as well, and use the data science for that, and target people and pick people up when they're trying to book with Expedia that they suddenly find they've got a message from us and saying, well, why don't you do it with us? So that's the idea.
So and interesting. I mean, obviously you're going to put your marketing into the sort of hands of influencers. How are you going to verify that they are trustworthy and they are users of your product? Because we see a lot of things on social platforms, on Instagram, bloggers, you know, they're all doing these things. How are you going to make sure that you actually partner with and find trusted influencers rather than people who are just sort of going through that process and working with n number of other brands as well?
By establishing a relationship with them, and by having proper contracts with them that make sure that they adhere to those terms and have some integrity in what they do.
And the other thing is, this is a big data science play. You have a huge amount of experience from your own background in the travel industry. You talked to us about it's a lending product as well, so you'll get a lot of income in beforehand. How are you building that sort of data science model, those AI algorithms? What are you doing that is different in that space to make sure you're protecting yourself?
Well, we will and have already applied for some process patents to make sure that we've got that in-house. But I think the key here is that we're bringing together a team of people who have a unique set of experiences. So it's travel industry, it's finance, consumer finance, it's also investment banking finance, because we'll need to put a trading system behind this to make sure we're managing the risk properly, and it's also technology. So our CEO is the former CTO of Wizz Air, the low-cost airline, very much a tech-enabled business, and he's leading all of the data science efforts. So, yeah, I mean, we are building up an understanding of the pricing of every route that we're tracking, which at the moment is everything in and out of the US and within the US. So that means that we are sampling fares every day, a year forward, for every day, a year forward, on every route in and out of the US. That's a huge amount of data. And, excuse me, and building up that database and the intelligence that goes behind that is going to be our main barrier to entry. We've done an awful lot of testing on historic data. One of the reasons we started in the US is because there's a lot of historic data that you can access, particularly on domestic routes. Sorry, I'm running over. Yeah. I'll stop now. And, but that's the key, really, is understanding the pricing of the product.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So our next company makes net zero housing easier to deliver and better to live in. Introducing James from Sero.
Hi, I'm going to try over this side. Hi everyone. James Williams. I'm co-founder and CEO at Sero. And our mission is all about getting our homes to net zero, for the ones that exist already and for the ones that we're yet to build. We all understand that climate change is a huge problem in which we all face, even looking at the news this week. And the UK has a legally binding obligation to hit net zero in 2050, just 30 years away. So one of the issues is we keep talking about if we achieve zero carbon, how much it's going to cost and what sort of sacrifices we're going to have to make in order to get there. But we need to change this narrative up. We need to be talking about when we achieve zero carbon. Our energy system is changing. We need to let it do the heavy lifting here. We need to talk about savings. This is an investment and not a cost. And also, we need to talk about how our lives will improve as a result of this investment as well. But it's a challenge. The technology exists, but the pathway ahead is unclear, whether it's hydrogen or heat pumps. What decisions do we make in order to move forward? But we have a plan. First of all, the future of energy is not about selling kilowatt hours. It's about comfort. It's about using technology to provide a comfort outcome to customers whilst reducing their carbon footprint and whilst reducing their costs as well. It's about working with housing owners to allow them to plot this pathway to net zero. Let them make decisions based on good data and good insights. And this is a FinTech event. Finance, critically important. There's 1.5 trillion mortgaged into residential property that has to get to net zero within the next 30 years. That is both a huge risk but a huge opportunity as well at the same time. Now, it's a huge market. There's 27 million homes in the UK. By our analysis, we believe there's around 6.2 million customers today that we can go for, particularly within customer segments like social housing. And there, of course, this is energy. There are competition. There are the big energy suppliers in this space. But actually, there isn't anyone that gets involved at such an early stage to help plot this journey all the way through, provide that end-to-end service to deliver that outcome for the customer and guarantee that outcome at the same time. Now, we've been really busy. We're delivering over 2,000 homes this year. We've got a growing pipeline of nearly 26,000 and lots of great partners as well at the same time. And clearly, data is key in this industry, generating a lot of data. Now, our timeline, things have moved around a little bit somehow, but never mind. So we were founded in late 2017. We've delivered some really key industry-leading projects over the last few years. Most notably, we're leading the Welsh Government's Optimised Retrofit Programme, which is the largest retrofit programme in the UK, which kicked off at the end of last year. Our first customers joined us on our platform last summer, and right now we're doing our Series A £5 million funding raise, which has kicked off already. Here's our team. Look how happy they all are. I need to find one more to fit that space in the corner. We've got a really experienced team. You know, our team has built and sold successful businesses. We operate across construction, across energy, and across digital as well. And it's the perfect recipe in order to address this challenge. Now, our business model is we provide services in the sort of construction and development side. We have a technology that goes into the home that enables our service, our comfort service within the home. And also we have recurring revenues then when the customer is living on our platform, providing that comfort service. So finally, what are we doing? We're now raising 5 million, as I said, and that's to grow the business to become a 50 million plus turnover business within the next 5 years. This is all about growth for us. We've built the technology, we're building the platform. This is really about getting into every social housing, every mortgage provider, and expanding our proposition across the UK. Continue to develop our platform, but also make sure that we're really competitive at the same time. Join us on our journey towards net zero. Thank you.
James, thank you for that. Interested to find out a bit more about the subscription service you mentioned and the platform. So if a homeowner subscribes to your service, what the platform offers and how that subscription service works?
Yeah, so what we do is we ask the customer to tell us how they want to live, you know, what temperatures they want in their rooms, how much hot water, how many miles they drive in their car. Now, the issue with kilowatts in the future is you can generate one, you can store one, you can import one, you can export one, and actually kilowatts change in price every 30 minutes. in reality. I know we all pay fixed prices, but that's not the future. They change in price every 30 minutes. They change in carbon every 30 minutes. That's a very complicated environment for a customer. So we ask the customer how they want to live and essentially deliver that outcome for them in the background whilst using the technology within their home. That might be the humble hot water tank or their battery, in order to drive down their cost, first of all, but also drive down their carbon footprint at the same time. And then we give that, the feedback in terms of data around how they live. And you can't call your energy supplier up and say, how do I use less energy? But you can call us up and say, how do I reduce my bill? How do I reduce my carbon footprint? And we can help enable that for them. So they subscribe to us on a monthly basis to do that.
And with some of the things in the house technology-wise now, like Nest and things like that, how do you see this coexisting with those platforms?
So we're not trying to compete with what I would call sort of IoT consumer devices that you would plug in and put on the kitchen worktop. This is core infrastructure. This is energy management infrastructure. What we're aiming to build really is a home that is flexible, that can fit into the energy system of the future. So this is very much a under the stairs, core infrastructure, functional device, but it allows our service on top. So really not trying to compete with the likes of a Google or an Alexa, but actually it's an opportunity for us to kind of collaborate and work with them in the future as well. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Our next business is empowering consumer-facing businesses with embedded insurance. Ladies and gentlemen, a big warm round of applause as he makes his way down for Rob from Zing Cover.
Thank you. I think this means we're more than halfway. Hi, I'm Rob Korsneck, and I'm CEO and co-founder of Zing Cover. We are the complete consumer insurance solution for any e-commerce platform. And we're taking our customers beyond the checkout with insurance that's both embedded and joined up. And now, why is this a problem? The traditional household and contents insurance market is just failing to reach an increasingly large number of modern consumers. People do want peace of mind that their important possessions, hires, and day-to-day activities are properly protected. But they find the complex policies, the applications, 12-month contracts, and myriad of insurers and aggregators a complete turn-off. Meanwhile, more and more decisions are being made at the checkout. Companies like Klarna haven't achieved a $45 billion valuation by staying in the traditional financial services ecosystem. They've embedded at the e-commerce checkout. Zing is placing insurance at the checkout, offering relevant and transparent cover to customers where they want it. And this brings benefits for both businesses and their customers. For businesses, of course, they get an additional monthly revenue. But far more powerfully, they're getting a means of engaging with their customers, increasing their customer loyalty, increasing repeat purchase, and getting better quality customer data. And for customers, yes, they're getting a frictionless purchase of relevant cover. But we take the customer way beyond the checkout. With our modular subscriptions and our ability to identify repeat purchases across multiple e-commerce platforms, we can join up people's subscriptions in a simple, intuitive app, and we can incentivize them with pricing benefits and additional coverage suggestions. This is insurance that's embedded and joined up. And we were really pleased early on this year to partner with Brompton, a fantastic UK brand. And they love Zing because it's delivering what their customers want. And we achieve a customer acceptance rate of more than double the comparable industry standard. Of course, why do we think we're the right company to achieve all this? Well, in our founding partnership, we've got deep knowledge of the insurance industry, coupled with expertise in consumer technology. And we're building a team that's going to deliver on an exciting pipeline of new partnerships, new products, and an imminent international expansion. So what's the ask today? Well, if you are connected to, involved with, or have your own consumer e-commerce platform, then we'd love to speak to you about the benefits that Zing Cover can bring this evening. In terms of our fundraising, we're funded until the end of the year, and we'll be doing our next main raise. But we know that there are people here this evening that we'll want to connect to, who will add value to our business, and we'd like to have those conversations, and we can back those up with our remaining SEIS and EIS allowance. Thank you, and I open myself up to questions.
Thank you very much for that. So you're really dependent on working with the e-commerce platforms for them to embed your solution at the point of sale?
We're dependent on working with consumer brands that have an e-commerce platform, yes.
And so how easy is it for those platforms to put your solution into theirs? How much work is it? What are you asking from them?
I mean, it's a great question because it's a fundamental point. It has to be as low friction, as easy to implement as possible. That's been core to the whole product design that my CTO has put in place from the start. And thankfully, the feedback has been incredibly positive as to how low effort and low cost it is to implement. Oddly enough, it does increase the stickiness of the business though, because as soon as someone thinks about taking something out of their technology stack to just switch providers, it becomes a bit more of a hurdle.
And what's stopping those e-commerce platforms from doing their own solution? Why would they buy from you?
In terms of them wanting to offer their own insurance?
Yeah.
I think there's a whole range of things, to be honest. I mean, obviously, it's a regulated space, and most of these are not regulated businesses. I think, if I'm honest about it, there is a stigma about insurance. Part of what we have to achieve at Zing, both with customers and with the brands that host Zing, is showing that actually insurance is a consumer benefit. It's a value add, and that it actually drives, as I was saying about businesses, it drives repeat purchases, drives increased customer loyalty. And even with the data set we have from our launch earlier this year, we're already getting that from our first partnership. They can see that their best customers are buying more from them once they've become a Zing Cover customer.
Great. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Okay, everybody. So we are at our penultimate pitch, and I would like to call up Ella, who is going to talk about SaaS that builds, launches, and manages e-commerce subscription platforms for the automotive industry. So, ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for Ella from Wagonex.
Hi everyone. So Johnny's just taken my first slide. So I'm Ella Hastings, and at Wagonex we're on a mission to build, launch, launch and manage vehicle subscription platforms for the automotive industry. So we all have subscriptions, right? And we've watched them transform multiple industries over the last decade. The World Economic Forum even goes as far as predicting that by 2030, we won't own anything. The automotive industry is huge. It's an £80 billion market, and it's ready for disruption. The consumer demand is growing month on month, and Cazoo have placed their bets by buying our nearest UK competitor for £100 million. Our tech provides the opportunity for the automotive industry to compete with Cazoo. We're talking to most of the major manufacturers and are already working with many. To sum up our platform, it's integrated, modular, and in demand. We provide everything needed for manufacturers to test, launch, or grow their own subscription products. The manufacturers also provide, and our dealerships also provide, supply to our marketplace. So on the one hand, we have the tech. On the other hand, we have marketplace revenue, which we provide in-market customers to our partners, and we monetize that through the marketplace. So we're asset light, with multiple income streams already delivering above revenue, above projections. We have the transaction revenue through our marketplace, and we already have secured multi-year white label partnership agreements. Let's have a look at the transaction revenue in a little bit more detail. We can acquire a customer for £50. The average length of subscription means that our customer lifetime value is in excess of £250. We're perfectly positioned to meet our 5-year targets. So, why do we think we're going to succeed? We have a really strong UK market position already. And we are adding more and more vehicles to the platform to meet with customer demand. And we can leverage the scale and reputation of our existing multinational partners. Talking of multinational partners, we're incredibly excited to be working with such global brands for such a small company. And we've got even more in the pipeline to follow. And these opportunities are not just limited to the UK. We've got a great team, small at this stage, but we've got all the skills needed to deliver in this space. We've got experience from finance, fundraising, FinTech, insurtech, finance, automotive, and marketplace platforms. Our ask today: we've got 550 investment, and we're being supported by the Development Bank of Wales. We are looking for expertise as well to help us take advantage of this opportunity that's in front of us. We've only got 50,000 left, but we are open to overfunding. So please, if you're interested in finding out more, come and see me afterwards. Thank you very much for listening.
Hey, Ella, thanks for that. I'm just trying to decouple, if I can, the manufacturers and the marketplace and the manufacturers and the white label. Do you need manufacturers to support both of those propositions to give you an inventory? Or can you have a manufacturer who's effectively only supplying you for marketplace or only supplying you for a white label?
Yeah, we're very flexible. We've got partners who have white labels, but we also have partners who have just a supply contract with the marketplace. So we've got a proposition, we call it test, launch and grow. So we can enable manufacturers and dealerships, anyone with automotive inventory, to test, i.e. join the marketplace, scale, get their own white label, or grow, even tap into our marketing. And even we're talking to multinationals about rebranding the entire marketplace for them.
So 3 years off down the road.
I like that, the road.
Thank you. What's the mix of the business between marketplace and white label? Because the piece that scared me is the idea that you'll be able to acquire a customer for £50 in 3 years' time when everyone's offering a subscription on a vehicle.
Yeah, so it's an interesting mix, right? We've got that reliable, repeatable SaaS revenue that's coming through the white label, and the transaction revenue through the marketplace is obviously, if we can capitalise on that, there is a long way that we can propel the business. Our solution is also kind of ready in a box to go internationally. And we're working and talking to a number of people in different territories for them to take the tech platform and launch their own marketplace overseas.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody. So, time for the final pitch of the night, which is a platform that helps startups and advisors find investors. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Daniel from ShipShape.
Hello, thank you everyone. Cheers. Hello, good evening. I'm Daniel Safko. I'm the CEO and co-founder of ShipShape. And I'm here to talk with you today about connecting great ideas to capital. Could you imagine if WhatsApp and Sequoia never met? The most ubiquitous phone messaging service would never have dominated the world, and it wouldn't have been acquired by Facebook for 19 billion. Could you imagine if Groupon never had Eric Lefkowski, who is a super angel in the US and was absolutely instrumental in Groupon hitting a 30 billion IPO market cap? We know the recipe for a world-changing business. You take a fantastic idea and you give it capital. And the reality is that brilliant ideas happen everywhere, but capital is siloed. Everyone in this room knows how difficult it is to get access to capital, no matter how brilliant your idea. We're here to change that. Our platform is pioneering in that it offers the most detailed level of granularity on VC investors. At this point in time, we're unparalleled. We capture hundreds of thousands of data points on individuals that work at VC firms. That enables our customers to understand who it is that they're approaching. And because they can do that, they know who they need to ask for a connection to. And this last bit, the connect bit, should be in place by the end of this Foundry cohort. And what that will enable us to do is for an organization like FinTech Wales to embed the networks of the individuals that work and support it. They can actually help to identify the individual investors that are interested in telematics, in electric car subscription models, because we go down to that level of granularity. How does this work in practice? It's a little bit hazy. This is essentially, you can type in a keyword. So in this instance, we've typed in medical imaging. There's a university in the Midlands that has a particular specialism in medical imaging technology. And what our system does is it identifies which individual investors are specifically interested in that technology set. That BDO have given us a glowing reference, permission to use their logo, and they're really looking forward to the developments that are coming down the line in the platform. If this is of interest, and if you'd like to speak with us afterwards, I'm Daniel. That's my email. And this is my co-founder, Alistair. Thank you very much.
Fantastic businesses. All of them have come up here. They've delivered their pitch to you in roughly 3 minutes. They've taken some questions. I think they've answered those quite well for us. They are all looking for investment. There are people in this room who can help them. I would encourage you to find these people, talk to them tonight. If you don't find them or if you miss them, then you come back to myself or Johnny or the team here and we will absolutely connect you up. It is our job, it is our mission to help these companies grow. I'd also like to encourage you to tweet, talk about tonight, look to join us on this venture, and yeah, let's be part of this mission to really ensure that Wales is a globally recognised fintech hub of excellence. We have the ingredients, we have the company, we have the passion, or as we now say in FinTech Wales, we have the fuel to actually put that into this industry. Join us, we're on a mission, we will not stop until we get there. I'd like to thank everybody in this room firstly for coming. I'd like to thank all of the cohort who pitched, they did jolly well. I'd like to thank my panelists, Damon and Guy, who were relatively nice, which is great. So thank you very much. To other partners in the room, Tramshed, you are always amazing. To Angels Invest Wales, thank you very much. DevBank, to Global Welsh. I really appreciate all of the help and support. And to my home team, to Johnny, to Tiff, to Owain, and to Eamon, who has put these guys through their pitch paces. I want to thank you all enormously. It would not have happened without you. So thank you. Get a drink, finish the food. We don't want any waste. We're into zero carbon waste. So please enjoy yourself, and it's great to be back.